we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast, always hit us up on our DMs, on our Twitter, Instagram, the Bigmark Pod, at the Bigmark Podcast. And again, like I always say, I really appreciate your time. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here tonight. So thank you so much. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. You know how we love it. Tell your friends, spread the podcast. If you tell one friend, we can double the podcast overnight. But make sure they're cool. Thank you all for joining. I'm super excited about tonight's episode. Wow, that was a bit. I'm super excited. Little frog in the throat, as they say. Hopefully, no frogs in the hut. This weekend, I'm going ice fishing. That's what we're going to talk about today. Me and my buddy B-Rye, long time friend of the show. B-Rye, Brian Armstrong. I played football with him, my best buddy. We went to school together, met and played in university and played football together. And just struck up a great friendship in the sense that we get along. We lived together for a little bit. We like the same shit. We like the same music. We're into all the same stuff. And B-Rye was also the first person to introduce me to ice fishing. And again, will be always a loyal friend if you ever need him out on the hard water, as we say. And I'm super excited. We're going with his partner Brittany and her brother Brendan, who we've been ice fishing before. And we're doing a little bit different because there's different ways ice fishing. I mean, the first time I ever went ice fishing that would have been, again, back in university. So 2010, probably the winter of, I think in first year we went. Yeah, obviously 100% in first year we went, like so it would have been 2011 technically, but in the winter, we went out to Chatham where B-Rye's from, when Chatham is kind of like smack dab in the middle of Lake Erie and Lake St. Clair. So you kind of have a little bit of your choice anyway about where to go. I mean, different fish, different styles, very much like normal fishing. I did an episode on conservationism, which kind of encapsulated a lot of fishing and hunting and things like that, which I haven't done much hunting, but grew up most of my entire childhood, at least, fishing pretty hard, like, I don't know pretty hardcore. At least we'd go like a few times while we were up there. But once a year I'd go visit my family up in Red Lake. Shout out Red Lake. And tremendous world-class walleye fishing up there. Obviously lots of other fish up there too. Northern pike, such. Some muskie, not so much. That's more like Kenora. But again, just fantastic fishing, and I grew up doing that. So I always had like some experience doing that. I mean, I unfortunately haven't been up to Red Lake in a long, long time. I'm somewhat ashamed to even say how long it's been, but every year we'd go up and we'd get out there. But again, it was always the summer. And ice fishing, I think, is pretty popular in Red Lake, but I know the ice gets like hella thick, like stupid thick, like fucking 4 or 5 feet thick. So I think at certain parts of the year, nobody's ice fishing because it's just like redonkulous to get through the ice. Unless you set up a permanent hut, which we'll talk about in a bit, and then like have a cutout, which you're always like maintaining. Maybe you're able to do some more ice fishing. I have to talk to my cousins. But again, never really had the opportunity until B-Rye took us out and had a really great time. Ice fishing is a lot of sitting and waiting. I mean, unsurprisingly, like some fishing can be, but I have yet to have like just like whipping them out of the holes, like fucking ripping fish. Like I have, it hasn't been like great. Like we've had days where B-Rye and I've gone out and we've got enough fish that we can like eat that day and have a solid fish fry and like feed the family kind of thing. And that's kind of what we aim to do when we go out to these on these ice fishing trips, is that we actually want to catch the fish so we can cook it and eat it. But like the first time ever when we went out, we went out with a temporary hut. So the few different ways of ice fishing, you can kind of just go out there and fucking man it up and bear it, or whatever you want to say. But you can just literally go out there, cut a hole in the ice. And again, if you're listening to this episode and you have never been ice fishing before, or you really want to try it and you live near a body of water that's frozen, I caution you, always test the ice before you go out. Go out there with something that you can like hit the ice with really hard. So B-Rye has like somewhat specialized equipment, but this device called a spud, which is this long kind of metal pole, which you can like hit the ice really hard with. And obviously if that cracks the ice, you're, at arm's length at least, and it's a really specific point in the ice, and you can be like, okay, like time to go back. Or if somehow that spud goes through the ice, you just get the fuck out of there. But again, we always go out there and test everything super safe. But again, if you ever are thinking about going out there to actually give it a go, make sure the ice is very, very, very safe. If you are able to measure the thickness, obviously, I'm pretty sure like 3 inches, which doesn't seem like a lot of ice, is pretty safe. I want to see before I start casting dispersions here. Let me pull some shit up here, Jamie. How thick is too dry? Like, how thick should ice be? It should be 12 inches to drive a car on. Now, driving a car on is obviously pretty wild, but you should be pretty safe. But 4 inches of ice can hold 800 pounds. Now, I wonder what that actually means. So this is the ice thickness guidelines by weight of Minnesota. 5 inches can hold 1,250 pounds. 6 inches can hold 1,800 pounds. 7 inches, 2,450. So it gets pretty significant. I'm sure that's obviously like spread out over an area. But again, if 4 inches holds 800 pounds, obviously you want the ice to be around 3-4 inches before you're going to go out there and feel like absolutely safe. Obviously there's different patches and things like that, but be safe. Bring a spud. Do something that's going to save your life. Bring some type of accoutrement to have with you. Like there's like these spikes that you can wear that will help you. Like if you do fall in, you can kind of like drag yourself out of the ice. And again, don't panic. Try not to panic. It's going to be initially shocking, but Wim Hof, and take it from me, I've been in that sub-zero water with like ice plunges and like shit like that, completely more controlled. Obviously I'm going in there, I'm not crashing through the ice and, the shock and fear of that. But again, hopefully the layers that you have on will protect you a little bit from that initial bang shock of ice cold water. But again, remain calm and try to spread your body weight out as much as you can. Again, didn't want to go into too much of a safety lesson, but I thought before we got into things, I'd go into that. So again, the first time we ever went out, B-Rye was telling me all this stuff. And again, when we went out there, we had a temporary hut and we basically just like walked out. I think the first time we ever did it, we drove the whip out, pulled out the hut, which is like when it's folded up and all folded in, it's like a sled kind of thing. So you can put shit on top and you can drag it out. At least the hut that we had at the time. B-Rye ended up getting a newer hut that was pretty sweet, and then he ended up getting like this like kind of sled item. But anyway, when we first went out, it was pretty fucking bare bones. When we got out there and set up, drilled the holes, and again, you kind of you're walking out there pretty significantly because obviously you got to get to a place where the water's deep, and where we ended up going was the bay was pretty shallow, so we had to walk out till it was deep enough, and again, set up our hut and got to fishing. It wasn't like banging them crazy, but we caught a few. And I'm pretty sure, I think on that first round, I don't think I was perfectly dressed. Now, this is one of the biggest things I want to talk about today. Barring a safety lesson, if you are ever going to go out ice fishing, honest to goodness, dress, like overdress. You can always take off layers. But like if you got socks, like bring double layer, super thick, heavy duty wild socks. Like bring heavy duty shit as much as you can. Layers. Again, you can always peel off. And again, when you're walking out like we did, you're going to be like building up. You're going to be building up a sweat. Believe you me. But it's again something you don't want to be caught out there, because you think, oh, okay, I'm gonna dress because I'm gonna be out there like doing activities. I'm gonna be fishing, be moving around, and I have to again walk out there. But majority of the time, you're literally just sitting there. And obviously your body temperature just goes to shit, and you freeze, and especially your feet. Now, I'm not necessarily a person who gets like super cold either. So keep that in mind. But again, so much fun with the temporary hut. You can man it up. Like I said, we went out there straight up tempo. And then you can go to a place like a permanent hut, like I mentioned before. So a permanent hut is usually set up by like an outfitter, like some outdoorsman type, tourism business, adventure tourism, if you will. But guys like, that will bring people out on charter boats, like to fish, might also set up these like ice fishing setups where they have, honestly, some of these places have like 30, 40, 50 of these huts, and they're basically like small little homes. Like realistically, if you just like put them on land, you could fucking live in this thing, no problem. Like there's obviously different sizes of them, but we go to this place called Chili Willie's. Shout out Chili Willie's. They're not a sponsor of the podcast, but we've been there. This will be at least the second year we've gone. And I think another time we were out there, at least in the same bay on Lake Nipissing. So it's a good trek up there, but tons of fun. And, again, like I said, these little huts, man, like honestly, they're like these little homes. They're like small homes, and they have electricity. Like they run fucking power lines out there from generators, I believe, but like they run power lines out there. And then they have propane heaters in them. So they're fucking toasty. Like you don't even, I know I told you all this shit about wearing warm shit, but if you go to these permanent huts, man, like honestly, you just need a coat to like get to the thing, and like you're staying toasty in this thing. You don't have to wear a coat inside. That's for sure. So tons of fun. Like I said, different sizes, and like I think we're going to one of the larger ones this time, because last time we were with 4 people in a hut that could have fit 6. And now if you had 6 bodies in here, man, it would have been tight quarters, because basically they have like bunks set up like along the exterior wall, and then like all the huts, and you like I think one of the ones we were at, you like sit on the bed, like that's like your seat. And then you just like, you fish off that all day, and then you literally just go to bed. And there's like a table in there and stuff too. And then like a little propane burner. And, funny enough, some of them have like a fucking straight up TV and DVD player. Like the one we're going to has like a little TV and a DVD player, and that has a full stove. So this is going to be deluxe, mucho bueno, tons of fun. They hit you up with minnows. They hit you up with water. Some people drive their cars straight up out there. Man, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know. Again, if it's 12 inches of ice, Minnesota says go for it. And if I know anything about Minnesota, is that you can drive your goddamn car out there anytime you want. And that's a message from Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota. Now, if you're watching the podcast, you know that Jesse Ventura wasn't really here. But if you're listening, Jesse Ventura just came in. Don't listen to what I just said. Anyway, I don't know if I could do it. Maybe I could drive the car out there. I mean, the outfitters that have it, they're driving fucking F-150s out there. Like, no problem. They're bringing you out there. But Maybe they have different insurance. Oh my God, it would suck so bad. Fuck. I've had the worst luck with my car too, man. Like, the last thing I need is to fucking go down. Speaking of going down, make sure you get your license too. You know, you can get temporary licenses and things like that, but make sure you get your fishing license, because the Embanar definitely loves to come to these places. I mean, it'd be fucking silly to go and fish at one of these places without a license. Maybe some people do. Maybe they catch people, but I think they're more catching people, like catching fish that aren't you're not allowed to catch. So there are some fish, for people who don't know. There are some types of fish, like walleye in Lake Nipissing specifically. You can only catch them in a certain, what's called a slot size. So you can only catch fish in that are above a certain length, but below another designated length. So within this, like, again, slot. So if you're looking at a measuring tape, it's above this one designated length, but below this other designated length. And that kind of like helps control the fish population. You're not taking any fish that are too young, that are small, out of the water, and you're not taking fish that are too large, that are kind of breeding out of the food chain, the pool, the gene pool, I guess. Fuck. So anyway, there's certain fish that you can and can't catch. I think Lake Nipissing has burbot. There's like this fish you can catch like at night, which is trippy. I don't even know if I want to catch one of these things, because they sound fucking sassy. They're like, I think they're closer to like a catfish. They have a skin. They don't have like skin. It's fucking trippy. I don't even know if I want to see one. Straight the fuck up. B-Rai caught like a salamander once. That was fucked. Anyway, super fun. Like, again, it's just like a great time to get out there with the crew and have all this fun and enjoy a winter leisure activity, right? Like, it's kind of interesting with fishing in the sense that that again, it's like, it's kind of this, it can be seen as this pastime, obviously fishing, leisurely pastime, but then, some people around the world, and at least historically speaking, have had to fish like for sustenance kind of thing. And I think it's a really interesting notion. Give me a moment here. Just want to make sure the podcast is still ripping. It's still recording, everyone, obviously, as you're hearing me. But where was I? As fishing as a pastime is always this interesting notion, because you see it in movies, you see it on TV, leisurely in the back, like down the stream, fly fishing, or just the relaxation of nature. And it's interesting because I feel like we can only say that coming from a place where our food is secure, where we have this kind of food security. And you can go out there and be like, shoot, I didn't catch anything. I'm not going to starve tonight, right? But like, if you're like Survivor manning it up, or like there's people, all around the world is that sustain from fishing. And, you think about the fish population in the world and you go, fuck yeah, the ocean fish populations are dwindling or whatever, or being affected by all this climate change. What are you going to do? Just eat less fish. But like, people who literally live off that shit, they're being affected so much more. And it's interesting doing that and being like, la-di-da, we get to go in and enjoy a little bit of good times. But when B-Rai and I go out, we try to set apart a meal where it's like, we got to catch fish to eat that day. So there's always backup though, right? So it's really interesting being like, I wonder what it would have been like in a time where you came to Canada. Like, again, I always think back to like the pioneer times, and this is, one of the times in Canadian history where there's so much information about it, because that's a time of Canadian history that they don't mind telling, at least barring at least some of the relations with the Indigenous tribes. But, you know, they like to tell that story of the solitary man or family that's out in the fucking wilderness, chopping down trees and like seeing this place that all of a sudden the weather's starting to change. And you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a lot like back home. You know, it's starting to become fall. Weather's getting a little cooler. It's still cool. It's getting cold. It's getting fucking freezing. Oh my God. It's frigid. Everyone's dead. Everyone's frozen to death. Oh my God. So again, that happened a lot in the sense where if you knew how to fish and you were like, oh, I'm just going to, you know, oh, we live near this little stream, going to go catch a little fish, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden that stream freezes over. What the fuck are you going to do? Right? So ice fishing then obviously is born. So it comes out of this necessity, comes out of places in the world where it's just fucking covered in ice and covered in snow, and you realize, oh my God, there's a treasure trove, but underneath this, you know, frozen body. And if you can get under it and drill a hole in it, there's a jackpot down there. I always thought it was funny talking about permanent huts. That'd be a good album cover, not Permanent Waves, but Permanent Huts. There's a song by the Tragically Hip called Membership, and there's a line in the song that always sticks with me, and it's like, by the time the ice huts hit the bottom, we were already home in bed. And there's just like, it's something about like that idea of by the time the ice hits at the bottom, there's this already this idea of like, was there like, that's just the way of Gord Downey's writing is like, was there sabotage? Are you trying to portray a changing of the year? We're turning into spring now and the ice is melting, or was again a sabotage type thing? But there's something so inherently Canadian about ice fishing. And when I've told people in the past, oh, I'm going ice fishing, people think, oh fuck, like this is wild, like you're going and braving the elements and things like that. But like I'm saying, these permanent huts, man, they are pretty fucking swanky. You go up there, you're munching it up, you're smoking it up, you're drinking it up, you're fucking eating Rice Krispie treats, you're, you know, just having a good old time. And I'm really looking forward to it. If you do get a chance to go out, I know it's really tough, and you're probably also looking at me if you know me from Southern Ontario right now. We haven't had a really cold winter, so like I said, I got to go to fucking Nipissing before I get to any fishing. So again, let me know if you got any good fishing tips. I'm partial to, I don't really know like the rod type shits, but I have this lure that like looks like a small perch eye. You put a little minnow on that thing, you fucking whip it down, and you're yanking fish up. I remember one time we were all fishing and had to fucking scoop a fish out of the hole. Oh my God, it can get pretty exciting, but again, it's a lot of hurry up and wait, and that is ice fishing. Tons of fun. Can be relaxing, can be meditative. Depends on how you look at it. It can be this big party. A lot of people go out there. There's some folks from like Winnipeg, I think, or Manitoba somewhere, and they were just outside of the hut, like no shirt on. And at the time, it was like minus deep. Like, I think we were pushing minus 25, minus 30. And again, it's Nipissing, right? So like, if I'm going to look up here, hold on now. Let's look up Nipissing. Oops. Let's see what the weather's going to look like here. Oh. I wonder if I can look up... Oh, come on. So I'm trying to look up the weather here, Lake Nipissing, because obviously I want to kind of see what we're doing here. But like, what's the closest town that I can look at here? Shit. Holy hell. Powassan. Let's go with that. Doodly 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 doo. Oh my God, 5 degrees. That's not what I want to see. Holy hell. It's my best Mark Norman. Well, Friday and Saturday is going to be minus 11, so I think we're going to be safe. That's going to be scary. Hopefully we don't go through. Oh my God. What a turn. What an exciting turn to this show. Hopefully y'all stuck with me there while I was pulling that shit up, Jamie. Anyway, the next episode might be from the bottom of Lake Nipissing. So stay tuned. Thanks y'all for listening. I love you all. I really appreciate your time here. If you're going ice fishing, make sure you do it safe. Get your license. Have fun. Stay young. Let me have some of that fish, baby. All right. Talk to you soon. Peace.